happens is you'll have to find the spectrum of the noise signal. Step 1. Step 2 is to find the spectrum of the uh, desired signal. You will have to subtract those spectrums, and then you'll have to use convolution techniques to obtain output signal, which will be filtered of the unnecessary noise. So this is how spectral subtraction is done. This is the top view of the algorithm which can be implemented by using spectral subtraction. One is to obtain the spectrum of the noise signal. You'll have to manually cut the signal and obtain its spectrum of the noise signal. You'll have to manually cut the desired signal and obtain the spectrum of the signal, and subtract those two to uh, uh, obtain the spectrum of the signal that you desire. And you will have to use convolution filters to uh, get back the filtered signal. That's how generally it's done. So if you observe, this part is the noise part, this part is the signal part that we want. So what we'll be doing is, we'll be, if this is the entire signal of 28 seconds, we'll be cutting the signal from 3 to 4 seconds and from 5 to 8 seconds individual. We'll be obtaining spectrum of each part, and we'll be subtracting it, and we'll be applying convolution by using the time response of the filter on that spectrum, and we'll be obtaining the resultant signal. So this is the output of the filter that we have just applied. So if you observe, once we eliminate this part from the entire signal, there won't be noise present here. One technique where you can, you'll have to manually locate noise and manually locate desired signal, and uh, do this stuff manually. That's one technique which is called spectral subtraction. And this is called wavelet. So uh, by default, wavelets can be filtering of the signal using wavelets can be defined as convolution of the original signal. It's not convolution, it's correlation. Correlation of the original signal with the desired signal in windowed time frames. That is the layman definition of applying wavelets to a raw signal, where we'll be obtaining a wavelet, and let's say this is the wavelet. We'll be using this wavelet as input, and we'll be using correlation techniques on the entire signal, and we'll be uh, ranking the multiplication part. Let's say, for example, if signal 1 into wavelet is 1, or say 0.1, and signal 2 into wavelet is equal to 0.6, 0.6, and signal 3, 3 into wavelet 0.9, signal 3 into wavelet is 0.3. Then by definition, signal 3 is highly correlated with the waveform of the wavelet than signal 1 or signal 2. So what is the catch here? So the signal that you want to detect, or the signal that is present inside the raw data, must be such that the shape of the signal that you want to detect must resemble some of these wavelets. For example, if you know an ECG signal, if you know ECG signal that is similar to this signal, WC is 20 entirely, but if you know, let me see if I can draw it. So this is the ECG signal. If we want to detect this entire ECG signal from some raw data which has a lot of noise, then you'll have to use this wavelet. If you want to detect only this Q, if you want to detect only this QRS, this part, excluding P and T, then you will have to use Mexican hat, because the QRS part is highly similar to Mexican hat. This is the basic definition of wavelet decomposition or wavelet transform. So what I'll be doing is I'll be explaining it further. But before I proceed, you'll have to understand the difference between the signals on which we can apply wavelets on signals on which we can apply normal filtering techniques. So this is the spectrum of two different signals. If you observe, I'm directly giving away the answer since most of them are mute. So if you observe, there are this is the frequency spectrum, and there are four discrete uh, points here, and the same four discrete points are present here as well. But these two are entirely different signals. So that is the difference where we'll have to, uh, realize the important difference that we'll have to realize when we are applying wavelets to signal denoising and normal frequency analysis techniques is that this is a stationary signal. This is a non-stationary signal. The difference between stationary and non-stationary signal is, in a stationary signal, these four frequency points, that is 100 hertz, then this might be 50 hertz, 25 hertz, 10 hertz. These four signals, if we apply normal Fourier transform technique on the stationary signal, these four spectrums will be present in the entire signal if it is a stationary signal. But if the signal is non-stationary being that those four signals might not be present during the entire duration. If the signal is maybe of some, let's say 512 samples, in a stationary signal, the entire 512 samples might be having all the frequency spectrum, all these four frequency spectrum, that is 100 hertz frequency, then 50, 25, 10. But if the signal is non-stationary, then it won't be having all the frequency spectrums at all times. If the same 512 sample signal, if it is a non-stationary signal, then the time resolution where the frequency 10 hertz is present is not where the time where 20 hertz or 25 hertz is present. So if you observe, even though both are having all four frequency values, there is some transition. This signal is clear, but this signal has got transition. That means in the entire signal, different frequencies are being developed. If you take Fourier transform of stationary signal and non-stationary signal, both of those look like this. But if you observe, for a stationary signal, those frequencies will be present like this. And if the frequencies are changing with time, then those frequencies will look like this. So that is how you can identify a stationary versus non-stationary signal. Here, if we observe in our problem, the data that we are getting from audio mics is a non-stationary signal, because the noise will be present, the frequencies present inside the noise spectrum will be present regularly. But when there is some feed, those noises will be generated at particular point in time. When the shrimp feed, then the noise generated from the mouth of the shrimp will be generated at a particular point in time. So for a non-stationary signal, that is the frequency generation is where we'll have to concentrate on to uh, catch the signals produced by the shrimp. So what is time and frequency resolution? If you observe, if we take Fourier transform, there is frequency resolution. This is frequency spectrum. So there is 100% frequency resolution. That means you can see what are the frequencies present in the signal. But you cannot say at what time intervals those frequencies are generated in both the signals, because these signals are taken from Fourier transform. So Fourier transform will give you complete frequency resolution but zero time resolution. That is of no use to us, because once we gather the signal, we need to know at what time did the frequency arrive. So that will help us in localizing the noise and separating the noise. So that's Fourier transform doesn't provide you both time and frequency resolution, but we need time and frequency resolution. So how do you define time and frequency resolution? In Fourier transform, there is zero time resolution in a frequency signal and zero frequency resolution in time signal. But what we need is a midway where we can know both time and frequency resolution as well. So this is what explains time and frequency resolution in a better way. If you observe, this is time and this is frequency. For lower frequencies, where uh, the frequency resolution is no, the time resolution is not so positive, because these frequencies are present in this much time. So we can't say a particular time where we know this frequency is exactly present. But as we decrease the time resolution, as we decrease the frequency resolution and increase the time resolution, that means instead of this much time, I need in this much time, then frequency width is increasing. Okay, if you are decreasing even further, reducing the time resolution, then frequency width is increasing more. That means for reduced time, we'll be getting some bandwidth of frequencies present inside, which is incrementally good from Fourier transform. Because in Fourier transform, we know none of it. We either know about time or we know about frequency. This time frequency resolution technique is one such technique where you can, know it in a better way compared to Fourier transform. But that's not what we want completely as also. So this wavelets technique, which is incremental to time frequency resolution technique, looks like this. Here, time domain and frequency domain are two different things. So once a signal is obtained, what happens is, let's say we have a 512 samples worth signal. What we'll be doing is we'll be applying low pass filter and high pass filter on the signal separately. So what happens if you apply, let's say this is low pass. For low pass signal, we got 256 samples. If we do high pass on that 512 samples, we'll get 256 samples. We'll discard this. We'll take only this. And we'll apply high pass and low pass to this as well. So what happens is low pass 128 samples. Those 256 samples are divided further. High pass is 128 samples. So we'll be taking this again. So this is level 1, level 2. This is DWT algorithm. So this is level 1, this is level 2. Here we'll be applying again low pass and high pass. Low pass will give 164. High pass will give 64. We'll be discarding that and we'll be taking this. And again, we'll be applying low pass and high pass to these 64 samples. Low pass 64 is 32. High pass of 64 is 32. So out of 255 samples that are present, we are gradually reducing. So here we got 32 samples. Then again, we'll be doing the same thing. Low pass 16, high pass 16. Okay. Then again, low pass 8, high pass 8, low pass 4, high pass 4, low pass 2, high pass 2. Okay, so high pass and high pass. These are the signals that we will be capturing. These are the signals that we will be, considering having, because these are all high pass filters. So higher frequencies will be present in these samples. So here in this level, we have 256 coefficients. Here we have 128 coefficients. Here we have 64 coefficients, 32 coefficients, so on and so forth. At the last stage, when there are two samples, we will be taking both low pass and high pass. in the final stage of the DWT algorithm, we'll be taking these two signals as well. So if you add all these, you will get 512 samples. It is simple progression. So initial signal, initial length. Initial length is 512. Final length is also 512. So number of samples wise, we have maintained concurrency. We have given input and we have got back the output as same number of samples. So what happens here is you will be having in, let's say for example, if here it is 0 to 1000 hertz. Here low pass will be having 0 to 500. Here 500 to 1000. Okay. Again, if we subtract, so 500 to 1000 will become 500 to, let's say, 750. 750 to 1000. If we divide further, high pass, low pass. So what's happening here is 750 to 1000. So you'll have to do like this. So what happens here is here we have low frequency resolution and high frequency resolution. That high frequency resolution is further divided into high frequency resolution, low frequency resolution. That's how the resolutions are divided and the number of samples present inside each resolution part is obtained. So what's happening here is if there are 256 samples, we know for certainty that 500 to 1000 hertz is present in the 256 samples. What's happening is we don't know what is present in the other 256 samples. So here we are increasing our frequency resolution, but we are reducing our time resolution. But most of the signals are present in the high frequency domain, so we don't need time resolution more. We need frequency resolution more, because at particular set, if let's say for example 0 to 256 to I mean 256 to 512 samples are the upper side. So if we obtain those samples, we'll be knowing that the time region where higher frequency signals are present. Okay, so as we try to localize the frequency spectrum, we'll be obtaining the time resolution and frequency resolution. But the main point is for low frequencies, there will be higher resolution on frequencies. For high frequencies, there will be higher resolution on time. Okay, it's like this. This is the DWT algorithm, which specifically mentions how to obtain time and frequency resolution continuously if the signal is non-stationary. If the signal is non-stationary, then you will be knowing at what time frame, what frequency ranges are present. So in our shrimp problem, if we obtain the raw signal and if we do DWT analysis on the raw signal, then what happens is we can localize the time frame where more frequencies which are generated from prawns are present. So this is the signal. This is a non-stationary signal that is generated. What we are doing is we are decomposing the signal. We are decomposing the signal at each level, and in case if this signal is having 512 samples, as I've explained earlier, this is a high pass filter of the original signal, and it is further divided into low pass and high pass, and this is the high pass signal of the next signal. So that's how these coefficients are obtained, and at each level what are the frequency samples present in the signal are analyzed. Okay, so this is how DWT algorithm is implemented, where you will have to split the signal by using low pass and high pass filters and capture high pass filter coefficients. But at the end of the algorithm, you will have to club both low pass and high pass coefficients and go back upwards. You will have to add these, then you have to add this. You'll have to add first, second, third, fourth, fifth. It's not adding, it's called concatenating. Okay. You'll have to concatenate from top to bottom. You'll have to concatenate these two. Then you have to concatenate this with these two. Then you have to concatenate 8 with the result. then you will have to concatenate 16 with the result, then 32 with the result, so on and so forth. So that's how the signal will be reconstructed. This is the coefficients part. You'll have to reconstruct it again, and you'll have to observe this signal based on changing parameters and based on the input parameters that we give. The output signals depend. So we'll have to manually check what are the different parameters that are obtained, that are giving best result to the given input raw signal, and then we will have to finalize the algorithm. So this is field cycle analysis. So what happens is, if say we have done all the filtering techniques and all the subcoding techniques, all the time resolution techniques, at the end of the day, we'll be getting a filtered signal. See, this is the raw signal that we got from the audio mic. After we do filtering and all, we'll be getting this signal, but we don't know which part of the signal is having the shrimp noise. Then what we do is we do localization. So what we do is we assign probabilities to the occurring of the values. Okay, based on, let's say for example, if we have normalized the ADC and if we have added some techniques when you know what signal will generate which value, then you will be knowing the normal signals, the normal noise signals will generate values ranging from this range to this range. But the noises generated by shrimp after all the filtering techniques will produce noise in this range to this range. So that's what is happening here. So if you observe, there are signals which are having higher probability here. I mean, higher repetition here. Those signals are ignored, and the signals and the points which are having low repetition are taken as noises generated by the source. So that is this is the yields generated in millions in US and around the world. If you observe, US is the world leader, and if you observe, Thailand is still manually doing all the operations, hence the yield is drastically low. But these things are changing these days. But if you observe, United States is the most biggest producer of seafood automatically in the world. So we have understood what aquaculture is and what aqua farming is, and how to increase yield, and how digital signal processing is used in denoising the signals generated from the aquaculture.